how to lift up the spirit of someone who is diagnosed with terminal illness, and that person is able to face what comes more calmly. It's wonderful that you're terminally ill, because each one of you is terminally ill. You've got a disease called life. I read that in an Australian book. The definition of life. Life is a sexually transmitted terminal disease. That's accurate, isn't it? So when you're terminal ill, hey, I'm out of here. Because look, if you're not terminally ill, you're going to spend all these years in a nursing home. Have you been in nursing homes? It's not very pleasant at a nursing home, is it? So if you've got a terminal illness, that's the first benefit. You don't have to go to a nursing home. Especially if it's young, anyway. That's why they're usually mean a terminal illness. And number two, you've got terminal illness. This is what the Buddha, when he called in meditation, one of the Devadutas, the messengers of God. You know, I'm going to die. It's a wonderful thing to know that. There was this guy I mentioned, there was a friend over in Sydney, and he would have his annual medical checkup, and one day it happened, his doctor called him, after he called him at home, just a couple of days after his checkup, because his doctor was a personal friend. The first thing the doctor said was, "Is your wife at home?" If your doctor rings you at home and says that, you know you're in big trouble. What's wrong? The doctor said, "Look, you're a friend. I'm not just your doctor, I'm your friend, so I thought I'd better tell you this personally. The blood tests have come back from the lab. You've got a cancer, a blood cancer. It's a rare form of cancer, but it's terminal and untreatable. I'm sorry." This is a real story. And this guy was just shocked, because when these things happen, they are bolts from the blue, totally unexpected. He thought he was healthy. Of course, the next thing you ask, usually the next thing you ask is, how long? How many months or years have I got? It's like that story of one of the other guys who went to see the specialist, and they said he got cancer, terminal disease. And the man asked, "How long have I got to live?" And the doctor said, 10. He said, 10 what? 10 days, 10 months, 10 years? The doctor replied, 9, 8, 7, 6. That's a terminal disease. So this doctor said, "Look, this is the real story." He said, "No, you can't say. But I'd expect maybe 2 months, 3 if you're lucky, probably not 4. And that was just really tough to know. We only had a couple of months to live, or 3 at most. So he thanked the doctor for being upfront, being clear. He talked it over with his wife, cried a bit. But then he decided, like many people do, he spent all his life being busy. And he often promised his wife and kids to go to Europe for a holiday. But never found the time, like happens in life. We make all these promises, but business and other things get in the way. And now he was going to die in a couple of months. He sold his business. With the money, this was the last chance for him and his family. He actually bought first-class tickets. When you're going to die, the money doesn't have any meaning anymore. So he bought first-class tickets to go to Europe for his wife and kids. And apparently he had them in his hand when the phone rang again. It's a true story. The doctor said, "I don't know how to tell you this." 2 patients, same surnames. We mixed up the results from both. And that friend was so grateful for that experience. He calls that doctor like his teacher, like his spiritual master. So he went on that trip to Europe with his family, had a wonderful time. Still had enough left to actually buy another little business. And he changed his whole life and became this wonderful father and husband. Because he came that close to death, he thought he was going to die. And that taught him the meaning of life. That's what terminal illness does to you. It shows you what life really means and what's really important in life. And you don't know that until you've had that experience. So, terminal illness can be this wonderful gift of understanding how important life is and what life is all about. And those last days, weeks, maybe months can be the most beautiful time. I always say, because I live in Western Australia, we face the Indian Ocean. The most wonderful times of the day as sunsets, when you see the sun go down over the ocean. It's the end of the day, the most beautiful part of it. It's like the last part of a human life. It can be the most beautiful. Just like the last part of a symphony. For those of you who like classical music, when all the different themes come together, it's so thrilling. The very end, before the symphony finishes, and you leave so enhanced and gifted that you were there to listen to that great music. That's what I call life, a great concert, which is usually reaches its peak and most beautiful part at the end. Terminal illness, you were born with a terminal illness called life. So when it actually is happening, you can tell them it's a beautiful time. Make the most of it. It's the sunset. It's the end of the concert. The most beautiful part. And then you just look at this in a totally different way. So many Buddhists are like that. You all know the Chief Reverend, of Brickfields, the former one, just died. And hopefully you've seen his autobiography or the story that when he was diagnosed with terminal cancer, what did he do? He laughed. And the doctor, the oncologist, said that's the first time I've met anybody when they're told they've got a terminal illness, burst out laughing. So that's what I would advise you to do. Laugh! You can do that if you're wise. That's what I do with terminal illness. Laugh your head off.